Hi everybody. Today I kind of want to talk about the vicious cycle of BPD. I found in my book here, and it's a pretty awesome description actually, and it really makes sense. So here's a diagram of what I'll be talking about. See if it relates to you. So as you can imagine, this kind of reinforcement can get you into a vicious circle. First you experience a really stressful event. For example, someone rejects you, and then you feel emotionally distressed. You feel ashamed, sad, and maybe a little angry. If you have BPD, you probably have a hard time figuring out how to make yourself feel better. I can really relate to that. So you resort to something like self-harm, drugs, or alcohol. You feel better after you drink, use drugs, or hurt yourself. But doing these things, one, doesn't help to solve the problem of being rejected, and two, leads to more problems and more stress in the future. Doesn't last forever. You want to escape your emotions, so you do whatever it takes to make that happen. And what you are going to do the next time you are stressed out, you'll likely engage in the very same problem behaviors that helped you feel better the last time. It becomes almost like an addiction. I am happy to say that it has been a good while since I've self-harmed, and I used to be, I guess you could say, an alcoholic. I did depend on liquor a lot, and when I was a teenager I did a lot of drugs, and I never knew why. I never knew what, I did think of it as an escape, but at the same time it wasn't getting me anywhere, and I knew that, but I didn't care. I did not give a shit. I really didn't. So this chart, or this diagram I'm showing you guys, I'll just go over that. So we got on the left adverse life events, and these are just some examples. So interpersonal conflict, obviously. Work stress, school stress, hassles, rejection, and failure. So anything like that obviously is going to lead to emotional distress in anybody. So the only difference is with BPD, you kind of, I guess you could say we fall off the deep end. To a certain degree, I guess, but the emotional distress then leads you to trying to cope with it and not knowing any healthy ways to cope, or choosing not to. So you have drug use, binging, self-harm, and suicide attempts, and then from that we go right back up to adverse life events, and it just keeps going and going and going. It is very hard to get out of. I'm not saying that I'm all perfect and healed and cured and all that good stuff, but I'd have to say for the last 6 months at least, I've had most of my life in order. It is still hard to get out of bed in the morning, and I am not working. I do have to still work on some anger issues, but I really wanted to share this diagram, I guess, with you guys, because it really simplifies it. It really puts in perspective to a certain degree, and when I saw it, I just was kind of shocked at how simple it is, but it's so true. I'm going to go on to some other stuff here. Actually, I'm going to go a little bit into the other personality disorders. Okay. So we have Avoidant personality disorder, which is characterized by extreme shyness in social situations, feelings of inadequacy, fears of disapproval and rejection by others, and great sensitivity to negative evaluation by others. We have dependent personality disorder, characterized by a strong need to be taken care of and fears of abandonment or separation from others, which leads to clinging behavior or submissiveness in relationships, which can be dangerous. So obsessive-compulsive personality disorder, characterized by a preoccupation with orderliness, perfectionism, and control that is so extreme and pervasive that it interferes with openness, flexibility, and getting things done efficiently. I do have a lot of obsessive-compulsive traits. Anybody that's from my Nova Star channel, if you're listening to this, everybody's wondering how I can put out so many videos and in such a short period of time. There's your answer. I have to. Once I get an idea, I can't sleep on it. I need to get it done. You know, some of that's just creativity, I guess, just kind of part of it, but I have to. It almost makes me sick to my stomach if I'm not working on something to, well, I do sleep, I do eat, all that stuff. It's not that extreme, but that's why I have so much on the go all the time. I need to keep busy. So I don't really know where to start. I'm going to put my book down. So, I guess I'm going to start a little bit with my story. Now that we have some information out of the way. Okay. I'm going to start with, I guess this will be my part 1. We will start with, I guess, when I was a baby. Now, I only really remember anything as far back as 2, but my first memory is not a good memory, and I think a lot of it really makes sense why I have abandonment issues, and maybe why my sense of smell can trigger me. So my first memory, I'll just go into it really quick, is being, I don't know, in the living room of an old apartment, and my mother's not there, and I wanted her to be and she wasn't, and I'll get into that later on. And I remember a man, I was really scared of him, and he smelled like, the smell of him made me sick, and it turns out it was alcohol. I remember picking up a little baby that I called my sister, and my only known sister, later on when I was a teenager, the only one I had known of was born when I was 9, so I was very confused by this memory. I was about 2 years old, and I picked up this little girl, called her my sister, and he smacked me and told me not to touch her again. So, I guess that's where my story starts. Turns out I did have a sister given up for adoption shortly after that. And I do know of her and I do talk to her, so it's just a long story. So, I didn't know my real dad left shortly after I was about 2. So this situation was This incident was after he had already left, I guess. Or my mom left him. I don't even know the whole story. So he wasn't in my life. And I had known when I was growing up as a teenager I did have father issues, for sure. Always had a boyfriend. Always had to have a boyfriend. I'm actually still like that, but I'm aware of it now. Anyways, the man that I did end up growing up with, who is my middle sister's father, was a sociopath. And if you don't know what a sociopath is, I can kind of give you the gist of it. Well, first of all, he's very physically and emotionally abusive. He had very strong control issues. He had no empathy, no sympathy. He was very fake. He was just a monster. And I could never help my mom. I always wanted to help. I would hear a lot of abuse going on from outside of my room, and anytime I tried to step in, I really would pay for it. So, I think that's one of the big reasons that I really enjoy helping people, being able to try and help people, because I was powerless as a child, and I got punished for helping. So, that's a little bit of where my story starts, I guess. He was in my life until I was about 10 years old. And then my little sister was born. So I was 9 when she was born. We don't speak anymore, but she has sociopathic tendencies as well. And she's one of the people I really have to keep out of my life, unfortunately. We were very, very close, but almost close enough to really hurt, just a lot of pain and a lot of mistrust. And then there's my mom. My mother has post-traumatic stress disorder, and she's just coming out now and talking about stuff from her past that she had kept buried. She wasn't an affectionate mother by any means, with me anyways. I understand she was living in fear, and so was I, but I was alone a lot. Alone with my thoughts, alone with my emotions. My emotions were never something that were appropriate to talk about. So I really believe my disorder stems from a very long time ago, and I know this is the case with a lot of people. And yeah, I kind of just kept trucking and kept trying, and I had one really good friend. She was my safe place, my happy place. And I was at her house all the time, and her mother never understood why. I just didn't want to go home. But I didn't tell them. That wasn't their, I was scared to tell anybody. I was scared to get hurt. And my mom told me not to tell anybody as well, because she was embarrassed by it. She was trapped. But, yeah. I guess I was always a really good kid. I listened. I obviously had to, but other than that, I was very respectful of everybody around me. Always have been. Never talked back. Anything like that. I did pretty good in school. I did miss a lot of school though because of stress. I was sick all the time when I was a kid. All the time. was a pretty good kid, and by the time I hit, I'd say about 15, that's when I really just gave up. I didn't care anymore. I didn't want to be the good child anymore. My sister was she was full of rage. She was always screaming, always clawing, biting us, pulling our hair. She wouldn't sleep. It was hell living at home. Pure hell. And well, first I started smoking cigarettes at 15. I became obsessed with it. Anything I could do to find a cigarette was... I wouldn't even go home because I'd want to be at my friends so I could smoke. You know, it's kind of started there. I didn't care. I didn't care that it was bad for me. And then I started drinking a lot. I wasn't missing any school. I didn't miss any school through junior high, which is grades 7 through 9 here. I didn't miss any school, but on the weekends I was binge drinking, and I was never promiscuous. I was never the type of girl in school to, date a lot of guys or anything like that. I had one boyfriend that I was literally obsessed with and told him I would give him my life. Anyways, he turned me on to crystal meth, and that became my best friend, my only true friend. That's how it felt. I would go 4 or 5 days with only having little cat naps, only eating a stitch of food every once in a while. I did a lot of drawing though when I was in that stage of my life, and I wish I had those drawings, but at the same time I don't because it's bad memories. But I didn't care. I gave up. My mom, actually this was shortly after my mom had gotten married, after she had left my sister's dad when I was 11. She got married and I was very close to this man, very close. I loved him. I even decided to put down my guard, which was hard for me, and call him Dad. They got divorced about a year later, and he wanted nothing to do with me. All of a sudden he completely abandoned me, so I didn't care anymore. I thought, why put in all this effort? Why be so worried all the time? And I just wanted to destroy my world. I gave up. And that's where a lot of the suicidal tendencies started from. I don't mean this to be a super upsetting story or anything, but it's my story. It's real, and it's I honestly can't tell you a lot of good memories from when I was younger. I don't even know how I'm still alive. So I really hope, if anybody's listening to this, I just want to let you know that there's hope. There really, really is. I guess that's kind of the beginning of my story. I am in a good place now. I was engaged for about 5 years. That's another story. But that's really where a lot of that stems from, with my borderline anyways. And I don't really know what else to say right now. It's all very complicated, and I don't want to ramble on and bore the hell out of you guys. So I don't know, just have a good day or a good night and go watch something cheery, because I'm pretty sure this was pretty depressing, and I'm sorry. But here's a little bit of my story for you guys. And one of the main reasons why I'm out here speaking out and saying that there is a way to feel better. There really, really is. It's a lot of work, but it's worth it. Even if you can find one person that you can talk to give you a little bit of hope. That person could even be me. So,